Hey mamas, have you ever found yourself saying things like, gosh, my kids just seem like really picky eaters? Or maybe you've said, I just want to be healthy and I'm so sick of dieting. Maybe you've even found yourself thinking, I wonder if my kids are picking up my thoughts and my habits about food. If you found yourself saying any of these things, I have something amazing to share with you. Mom First group coaching enrollment has opened. Yes, if you're listening to this January 2021, enrollment is open. In this 4-month group coaching program, you are going to receive not only my best coaching for intuitive eating, but also I'm going to help you as you're raising intuitive eaters. Don't worry, if your kids are toddlers or teenagers or anything in between, this program is for you. All the details can be found below in the show notes, including a link to book a consult so you can get enrolled today. I am only taking 10 moms into this group, so don't miss your spot. Hey ladies, welcome to episode 70 of the Health, Life, and More for Women podcast. I feel like this episode should be sponsored by ketchup. Yeah, let me explain. Let's hop in.
Welcome to the Health, Life, and More for Women podcast with certified life coach, mom of 4, and just all-around lover of all things 80s, your host, Jennifer D'Amato. Buckle in. Let's get started.
All right, I don't actually think I could get like Heinz ketchup to sponsor the podcast, but I feel like I owe them some sort of thank you. So I said I would explain. If you've raised toddlers, then you've probably experienced having picky eaters. I feel like it's some sort of rite of passage that, you have these babies and they transition into food and they just seem so excited about food, right? Like they're enjoying everything. And then all of a sudden they hit this age and they don't want to eat anything. You're putting food out on the table and all of a sudden they don't like it. I have been through this 4 times. I have 4 children, 4 times. They're all very different. And I can assure you, each of them has been through this. However, only one of them put ketchup on everything in order to eat it. Now, I'm going to just preface it and say she doesn't do it anymore. I don't even think she eats ketchup at all anymore. At all. Maybe with French fries. But I don't think she eats ketchup. And I'm, for the sake of protecting her, I'm not going to share which daughter it is. But I'm not joking. I would make, grilled chicken. And she's like, Mom, can I have ketchup? Really? Okay. I would serve broccoli. And she really wasn't thrilled with it at the time. Mom, can I have ketchup? Okay. I mean, I wanted her to enjoy the food. She didn't particularly care for it. Those two stand out the most. I'm not joking, though. It was ketchup with everything. It made my stomach curl watching it. But she would eat the broccoli. I figured this is a win. Now, again, not all of them ate this way. Ketchup was definitely not, the choice for everyone. It just happened to be 1 out of 4 really wanted ketchup. Maybe it's why she doesn't have it now very much. She had her fill of ketchup as a toddler. Oh, your kids turning into picky eaters is normal. It happens. And I really believe the reason it happens when it does in that toddler age is because our kids are going through this normal stage where they're trying to almost assert themselves, right? It's different again when they're teenagers. They do the same thing. They assert themselves as teenagers. And it could be, again, it almost shows up the same way when it comes to seeming like all of a sudden a picky eater. It's I'm trying to establish who I am, what I like, and I want to say in things. I want to be in control, or at least think I'm in control. And so there's a couple of choices we can make here. You notice your kids are picky eaters, and you can do what happened to a lot of us when we were kids, and you push the food. You force the food to be eaten. You say things like, you can't get up from the table unless you eat everything on your plate, including broccoli without ketchup. I know you're probably all going, oh my gosh. Or maybe you're out there and you like it. No judgment here if that's how you like broccoli. But we have that choice, right? We can do the things that were done to us where it was, you have to clear your plate. This backfires every time, every single time. And it backfires in the short term, right? We end up in these massive food fights. We end up in these arguments. We end up in consequences and punishments and tears. And we end up hating dinner time. Our kids hate dinner time. We as the parents hate dinner time. I've talked about leaving the Clear Your Plate Club, not being part of this. It's so hard when it's all you've ever known. It's so hard when it's how you were raised. It's so hard when you put all this effort into making a delicious meal and your kid goes, I don't want that. I don't like that. Ew, that's gross. I can tell you there's another way to handle those young picky eaters. I want to give you a couple of tips. The first one is probably the most important. You don't have to have food fights. You don't at all have to have the Clear Your Plate Club. You can just quit cold turkey right now, not going to do that. The way that you eliminate all of it is by choice. You empower the kid looking for power, right? They're going through a very normal developmental stage where, again, they want to assert themselves. They want to have control over things. Great. So you can give them that power before dinner starts. Okay, you have two choices of vegetable. Which would you like tonight? Now, you knew you were going to cook either one of them anyway, but they feel a sense of control and power. They get to choose. Now, even with your little ones, maybe they help prepare it, where they might not be using a knife. Mine, I always started with a butter knife and, just even cutting the ends of green beans or something. But maybe you do all the cutting and they, get to put a little of the, olive oil. We use avocado oil, or they get to, grind up a little salt, or try to do that. Or I don't know, maybe they help you lay the parchment paper, to roast the vegetables. But they get to have a part in it. They get to feel empowered even before the meal starts. Now, I realize that's not always easy to do. Sometimes we're just rushed and we're, trying to fit all the things in at dinner time. So another choice you have is you make what works for you, what's in your schedule. You put it on the table. They say, I don't want that. And you let it go. You continue to present the food again and again and again. So this is the method that we used, where I'm not going to have the food fights, but that is going to be on the table. I keep using broccoli. I think it's because I didn't really ever care for broccoli, because all I ever had was like boiled back in the day. Anyone with me, like boiled vegetables? I couldn't even imagine it today, other than a New England boiled dinner. But boiled broccoli, steamed broccoli, I don't really care for at all. I love roasted, but we never roasted vegetables. Just even having that, I was like, oh my gosh, this is delicious. I mean, I never grew up eating Brussels sprouts. Somebody introduced me to roasted Brussels sprouts. I'm like, where have you been all of my life? Just sometimes introducing foods in a new way, multiple times, for me as an adult has changed things. So with our kids, we just kept putting the food on the table. And then this amazing, almost magical thing happened where eventually on their own, they decided it's here, I'm hungry, I'm going to try it. Sometimes they liked it. I have one kid who hates asparagus. Everybody else likes it. I have one of our daughters cannot stand Brussels sprouts and everyone else enjoys them. Like she'll eat them. Sometimes it's just, it's not my favorite. I don't like it. And as I've already shared with you, I had a child who would eat the broccoli, but only with ketchup. I mean, I can't blame her. I was the kid who only ate broccoli as a kid. Again, it was boiled, steamed, mushy, gross. I would only have it with cheese on it. You know what I mean? I would only have it with cheese. I do blame Chili's for that because remember they used to have that baked potato bar and you could pour all that, we'll call it cheese. It looked like cheese, all over it. Oh my goodness. Only way I would eat broccoli. So how can I blame a kid who's like, I'm only going to eat it with ketchup? But we would just keep presenting it. No food fights, no clear your plate club, just presenting the food again and again. So every time I work with moms, this is something that comes up all the time because they're seeing this picky eater and I know there's this worry, right? Like if my kids don't, eat these certain foods, they're not going to be healthy, which we just break that apart right there. Your taste buds evolve and change. I assure you, there are things I eat as an adult I never ate as a kid. I used to have dry salads, and I do have some kids in this house who eat dry salads. Until somebody introduced me, I had to have been a teenager, introduced me to ranch dressing, and I felt like my whole world changed. I've had, as an adult, I have almost any dressing now. I enjoy all things. Never would have had that as a kid. But it was never forced upon me to have dressing on my salad. I know I got picked on because I can remember one time out with extended family, like you're eating that without anything on it. Like they thought I was a big weirdo. So when I have kids who eat salad without anything on it, I don't say anything. I don't talk about it at all. I ask them, would you like to try this kind? No. All right. Eat it how you want to. Doesn't matter to me. We keep putting the food out there. Now, I have shared with you, again, we don't do the Clear Your Plate Club. And actually, this is going to probably just challenge you in a whole other way. We let our kids, even when they were younger, serve themselves. Let them choose. I know you're thinking they don't know how much to take. They might take too much. They might not take enough and have to go back and then they keep going. Yup. But their bodies intuitively know. Their bodies intuitively know. That is such a hard thing for us as parents to get. We do believe as parents, like we have to intervene in the eating experience when in fact, we don't. It was probably the hardest thing as a parent to actually shift was that my kids know what their body needs on any given day better than I know what their body needs. So I have things available. So on the table, you'll see all the food. You'll see, vegetables. We might have rice. We could have pasta. We'll have meats. They will choose what they're going to eat. Now, I encourage them, you can always go back. So if you take a little less, now, if they don't finish what's on there, you have options. You have options to have a container ready and say, you can have that for lunch tomorrow. Maybe I just have had clients who are like, I just take it for lunch, whatever they leave. If that bothers you, I understand, but maybe it's for them to have, or my kids come back. And if they're hungry and we've had an early enough dinner, they might come back and say, oh, I want to finish that now. Okay. These are things I know as parents, we have such a hard time letting go of. Having picky eaters, letting go of the Clear Your Plate Club, these things they're hard to do because we as moms innately just worry about our children. Are they eating enough? Are they eating too much? Are they, having a good relationship with food? Do they feel okay about their body? All these things that are going through as moms. It's actually why I created the Mom First group coaching program. It's why I knew we had to focus first on ourselves, because if we have all these thoughts about food, oh my gosh, they have to clear their plate, I need to intervene, or I'm bringing in my food rules. I was bringing in my own food rules. I did not create the Clear Your Plate Club. It was taught to me and I just brought it in. It wasn't until I saw the damage it was doing and changed everything. I don't fight with my kids about food at all. And that's one of the gifts of coaching with me, is to stop the food fights, to not stress about the picky eaters, to not stress about if they've had enough, if they're having too much, all of those pieces, being able to let that go shifts so many other things. I actually believe because we don't fight about food, we don't, stress about the food, it opens up the door to have more conversations about it, because they know I'm not coming from a place of judgment at all with them, whether they're, we're younger or as teenagers. Let me tell you, having parented 4 toddlers, and now I'm parenting 2 teenagers, a tween, right? That's what we call it. Parenting 2 teenagers, a tween, and an almost double-digit girl. I assure you, the tween teenage years look a lot like those toddler years when it comes to the variation day to day by what they eat. I want to help moms in the Mom First group coaching experience what I'm experiencing in this home. I want their kids to experience what my kids experience. There's a whole other way to do things. You don't have to fight at the table. You don't have to have those tears shed anymore. It might be the thing that opens up the door in your relationship to talk more about how your kids are feeling about themselves, how they're feeling about their body, especially as they get older. If you're listening to this podcast in real time, there are just a couple days left to enroll in my Mom First group coaching. I have all of the details in the show notes for you. One of the pillars is raising intuitive eaters, is actually walking you through this process. The reason it's called Mom First, though, is I actually believe strongly that you, as the mom, need to come first. Your health, your relationship with food, how you view your body in this world has to come first. It's actually the gateway to opening those conversations and those changes with your kids. And like I said, you might have toddlers. This is perfect. This is great. You can start it off on this right foot. But I want to assure you, I've done this big change with the tween teens. The tween teens? I've done it with older kids. You can have an impact now before they ever leave your house. If this is something that you feel like, okay, I need to make this change, and maybe I need to make this change for me, but even more so, I feel that weight of needing to make it for generations to come. I need to make it so my kids don't feel like they have to make these changes. Head into the show notes, click the link to book a quick consult. Grab one of the spots before enrollment closes. If you have questions, this is the perfect space on that quick call to ask them. I'll lay out everything for you, make sure it's the best fit, make sure this is exactly what you're looking for. It's not about eliminating picky eaters. It's actually about embracing our bodies right where they are, and that includes our kids. Can be completely life-changing. I know it has been in our home. I believe it can be in yours. If you know a mama who you'd love to join you on this journey, be sure to share this podcast with them as soon as possible. Enrollment closes in just a couple of days. All right, mamas, until next week.